Good afternoon, friend. Good afternoon. I don't know if you heard me say that twice. Good afternoon, a third time. We'll add one more just for safe measure. Pastor Justin here, and I have the pleasure and the privilege today of being with our friend Carole Wright. And Carole has offered to share her story of redemption and hope. And Carole, thank you for having me in your home and inviting all of us into your home to share your story. We're so thankful for you. And I'll turn this back to you, and you're on.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Stories of Redemption, Born of Darkness. And I had a little problem with that, the word redemption. I couldn't get my mind around that word as a part of this topic. So I went to the dictionary to get a better understanding of just how to talk about this word as it related to me in the here and now. Redemption, and one of the things that first popped up was green stamps. And you probably don't remember green stamps. But redemption as an act of redeeming or atoning for a fault or a mistake, deliverance from sin, the state of being redeemed. And I understand the meaning of this word, and I am eternally grateful for Christ's redeeming sacrifice that covers even me. But how to connect it to this journey down this rocky path filled with all these potholes? Then the word rescued popped up in the definition, and I thought, of course, I am rescued. But I'd like to start with the light first. I have 3 sisters, and they were all married in their very early teens, and I was pushing 20. And they were afraid that no one was going to claim me. And so I made a list of what I wanted in a partner, and I gave it to God. It was a very specific list. He should be tall, because I'm tall. He should have roots, because I didn't want to move around a lot. I did that growing up. And he should not be lazy, but want to work hard to provide for us. And I wanted someone who would love and care for me as much as I would love and care for him, and have a sense of humor. Then, as in Ephesians 3:20, to him who by the power at work within us is able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. JC got on the elevator of the building where I was working, and that started 57 years of a rose-colored world. My patio philosopher with a very rich sense of humor, as you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And when the darkness came, it was swift and really unexpected. And after 3 months of chemo and 2 weeks in the hospital, he slipped away from us quietly, and as he put it, this was the playoffs, win or go home. And peacefully, he went home. When he left, he took part of me with him. I just don't know which parts he took and which parts he left behind. And so began the walk through this valley of shadows and a feeling of being enveloped in a huge, suffocating cloud. And seeking to look beyond the mist, I saw my son, who had given up a huge chunk of his life to walk this walk with us. And he was there every day, and now to hold my hand as we both struggle to stay on this path. And my daughter, who calls often, sometimes every day, "Hi, Mumsy, how are you doing? I love you." Deeds and words that allowed me to see beyond myself to a future. I was reminded of the poem Footprints in the Sand, and I know you're familiar with that, where someone is dreaming of walking along the beach with God under a dark sky as scenes from his life flash before him. And looking back, he sees 2 sets of footprints, but sometimes there's only 1 set of footprints. And during the bleakest moments of his life is when there are only 1 set of footprints. And pleading with God, he says, "Why would you leave me during the saddest and darkest part of my life?" And God said, "My child, When you saw only one set of footprints, that was when I carried you. And as I look back at the footprints in the sand, sometimes there are two sets of footprints. Sometimes there are only one. More often, there are many, many sets of footprints. Footprints that belong to my elder, who called almost every week to check in on me. And as she hung up, she would say, "Don't forget to breathe." And the next week, "Are you breathing?" "Yes, I'm breathing." And then I realized I wasn't breathing. I was holding my breath, hunched up in my hover mode, hoping that the light at the end of the tunnel was sunlight and not a train. Footprints that belonged to my dear friend that took me to the movie to see I Can Only Imagine, and held my hand while I cried. She still holds my hand almost daily, and neighbors that continue to hold me close and pick me up when I stumble. A big thing that I was not expecting was the first time coming back to church alone. I was really afraid. I was raised in a family that our whole life was focused around the church, and that this should have been the easiest trip of all. And again, all I saw was love and warmth of many footprints that make up this church, not the walls, not the building or the pews, but the many who are the hands and feet of God, most often without being aware that they are. And this valley that started out in this deep cloud and deep darkness has turned into shadows, something like a peaceful country road lined with trees. And as you drive along, you go through tree shadows to lighter shadows to brighter sun. And as I travel along this road, I have to ask myself, what am I learning? I am learning the Lord is my shepherd, and I have everything I need. He's made my bed in this lush green meadow, and he lets me rest beside the still and peaceful waters. He feeds my soul. He takes my hand and walks with me through this valley of shadows, but I'm not afraid, for he is with me. His rod and his staff comfort and protect me. He prepares a table before me in the midst of my fears and uncertainties, my enemies. He washes me with his blessings until my cup is filled to overflowing. Amazing grace. Thank you.
Amen. Carole, thank you so much for sharing your story. We love you.
You're welcome.
God bless you, friends.
Good job.